Hello, my name is Andreas from Hyperspace Connection. In today's Hypnosis and Remote Viewing session, Heidi and I wanted to know more about the topics transgender and gender identity. What we were interested in was the spiritual aspect of the transgender and gender identity topics. What is really behind all that in a deeper level? As you will watch this video, you will get a deeper insight about the topics transgender, gender identity, transhumanism, and even artificial intelligence. With the help of Heidi's higher self and some guides, we got some interesting questions answered, and we were led into a probable future. I'm asking now to Heidi, for the higher self, Heidi, to come forward and let me know when you're ready.
Yes.
Hello, I welcome you. How are you today?
Good.
Are you aware of our subject today?
Yes.
Okay. This subject of transgender movement, gender identity, is a little tricky at this moment on planet Earth in certain regions. We are aware of that. But the reason for our probing and asking questions today is to get a little bit more information about the reasons of all that. It's not about judgment, it's not about bad or good, it's just about background information. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please connect with this other being that claims to be the others and is of higher existence so we can have communication with him?
Yes.
Okay. If you like the work we do and you think this information is helpful, then please consider to subscribe and give us a like. For all subscribers already here, thank you for being here, and please as well give us a like. It will support our work. Don't forget to activate the notification bell so you get all the information about the new videos that will be coming. So I'm going to ask the both of you a few questions here, and whoever wants to answer the question just comes forward.
He cannot speak.
Mm-hmm.
The Yanti, the Yoni is here too.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, Yonis. So whoever has a question that relates to any answer, please come forward. So my first question to all of you is there a biological reason for the transgender movement on planet Earth?
There's always change within planet Earth. It triggers others around them, a deepness within them, a knowing for many, as there is confusion with human beings of understanding the greater goodness. The judgment is very strong. It creates almost as if there is a destruction between many, where it separates the understanding of exactly the meaning of the concept is not of what gender you are. It is put in place to make the planet of a greater existence within itself. The planet does not know the difference.
Anybody else that wants to have a piece of the answer to that? Is there a biological reason for the transgender movement?
It has always been around for many, many years, as there are others in existence of species that have this. It is within their biological DNA. Humans are a mix of many different types of life forms and DNAs, and some, more than others, have a remembrance of this as well. But there can be confusion within this, and this causes chaos, as through the mind, they, the others, not the ones of good, will have conflict within the mind. And then, as you would say, it becomes a part of delusion. And many will feel that they're not accepted of who they are, so they feel they have to go into a different type of feeling, as if maybe they are of another gender. Not all are like this, as some have come and they have not disconnected from where they came from. From the time they are born, they feel this within them. It's almost like they become blocked in many ways. The influence can cause them to become confused and understanding exactly not who they are. It is more of how they feel, and the mind can be controlled in many ways as well from this process.
I wanted to know, Heidi, what happened, what you now can tell us about a few things that we went through this transgender and gender identity hypnosis remote viewing session. Have our listeners understand what's going on. Okay, before I have questions, is there anything that you just wanted to tell us already now after 2 hours of our sessions we had?
There's a lot that I would like to talk about, but I'm going to do a brief summary of what I saw and what I felt and what went on in the session. And I don't even really know where to start, but what I do know and what I did see is positive and some negative aspects of the whole session. So I'm going to go into a little bit about what I saw, as there are other forms of beings that are male and female. So they have that within themselves, and that is what I was seeing, I think, in part of the beginning. And what I felt is that a lot that come when we are born onto this planet, on this earth, there are memories within some of human beings that remember this part, because it was saying that as humans we're a mix of all different types of DNA throughout the universe. And so some of us are remembering more of who, a bigger part of who we might have been, because the veil is becoming thinner. Things are becoming well known more. And so, but our body is basically a vehicle. It is not the whole picture. It just is running us. It's making us move. It's just a vehicle. And there is a negative part here on planet Earth that is taking this and using it against us for what is to come of the future. And our children are our future. And everything that's happening right now, our children are seeing. And they're bombarded with all this media stuff, all the electronics, all the decontamination in the environment. They have to be educated on what is going on. So a new creation is being formed, and it's confusing the children for our future, which in turn will affect the mindset and the control that's going on already. Creating a new human species by control. So it's almost as if they are using this against us, but at the same time saying, oh, this is okay to do this. And eventually children are going to be influenced through the mind to even go further. And what I mean by that is going further into actually creating new parts within the human body.
Mm-hmm. Let us hear what Heidi can tell us before we go straight into the part where I led her into a probable future. Into a probable future we would consider not to want to achieve. I would like to know more if there's a few things maybe that you now could wrap up or talk about that probable future that could be.
Well, I think communication needs to be well put into place of maybe why this is happening and why people feel the need to change their bodily structure. I think it's just, oh, this is how it is. It's not explaining maybe that's the reason why they're feeling this way or why they need to do this. Because again, it's a mind control, and there is, and I truly feel and believe this, that there is a control somehow, whether you want to call them the fallen angels or a different type of species, that are controlling us in many ways. And we have to be educated in this. And what I saw when you took me into the future is at first I couldn't see any humans. It was more of these artificial intelligent robots with completely numb, no feelings, no, just...
Do they appear like a human in any way or different?
They have some features of humans.
Mm-hmm. Are they of the human race or not?
Parts of human race.
Mm-hmm.
I felt numb, like I had no feelings. And in the corner, and I think this was trying to tell me something, is where I saw slave children. Basically saying that your children are slaves right now for our future. And if you don't see this, this is what's going to happen in the future. And your planet will not be a planet full of trees and life anymore. It'll be controlled more of in a manner of lower vibration energy. No life, everything is not alive like it used to be. Almost at the point where there's meanings, I think, to movies sometimes, that we all, as creators, have this little part of knowing within us. Where that comes from, it could be from, intuition or down many, many generations ago. But so that's basically what I saw.
Could you explain, maybe now as you're awake, how those people looked like? How would you describe them? Did they still have some human form to it?
They did still have human form, but the flesh wasn't like it used to be. So it was more, and I could even taste metal, metallic, which made me, a lot of times I don't like to name what it is, but I like to feel and sense. So like, okay, is this, because my mind starts working, is this the metal that I'm seeing, but I could taste it. And so a lot of what was happening is I don't know how many of these artificial intelligent beings there were, but you still could see human features to some point. They still had eyes, but it was almost like it was transforming. They were trying to get it to complete the process, so it wasn't fulfilled to exactly the way they wanted it yet. And there are a few, just like as us humans, that kind of have this knowing that something isn't right, was still embedded in a few of these artificial intelligent beings. And I was trying to figure out how and why is that possible. So there's something that still, I think, is embedded within each of us, that the certain ones have not got lost completely. And I don't know if that has to do with another life form helping out in some way, or maybe a part of our DNA that has remembrance as well.
What would they want to control?
The human existence.
Let's say they would achieve their goals. How would human society or the human population look like? I want to go forward in time in a possible or probable timeline where that influence achieves their goals. I'm gonna count to 3, and you're gonna be observing it from a distance with your support that you have with you, without any effect on you mentally, physically, or in your mind. I'm gonna count to 3. At 3, you're gonna be there. 1, 2, 3. You're there at the outcome and achievement of that group. What can you perceive at first?
Numbness. Everything is numb. There's no love. I feel numb. It is as if everything's the same.
Your perception, is it from a distance or close up?
Close up.
Can you walk among
Yes.
beings? Okay. Please explain a little bit what you can feel and see if you go and probe deeper.
They look like robots. Everything is the same. Artificial intelligence. No feelings or emotions. It's really a strange feeling.
Can you make out female and male people, or
no, everything is the same.
Can you make out children?
No.
How are the beings that you can observe brought into life? As we understand it, that it usually would imply to have a male and a female to produce a new child. How will it be in that environment you're observing?
Only in that species they're able to create. But the ones that are numb are of artificial intelligence.
So there are different ones among them, not all the same?
The ones that control are not the same.
Can you go and check out those that control? Who or what are they?
And you know who they are.
Can you please elaborate what you perceive?
Yes. They're very sick. And they're heavy. And you cannot look them in the eye.
Do they appear like a human in any way or different?
They have some features of humans.
Are they of the human race or not?
Parts of human race.
Are they visible?
As if they might have breeded with them.
Like an interchange of DNA or genetics? Are they now visible? Do they show themselves now to that population, or are they still hidden?
And they're visible.
Can you make out, if you go a little bit further into distance, have more observation, higher observation vantage point, can you make out so-called male and female humans that are still in the old-fashioned way? Does it feel yes or no?
No.
Okay. Then I want you to zoom into those beings that are now of artificial intelligence. Are they just robots, artificial, or do they have some biological parts to it still?
They still have some biological parts. There are still 2. There's a group over in the corner there. And these are children. but they're not. They're almost as if they were slaves.
Do you
There has to be.
Excuse me?
If they're human children, then there's still a few humans left.
So it would feel like if there would be some humans left, they feel like more as being slaves? Is that what you say?
They look horrible. As if you would see a child who's malnutritioned.
So you still can make out some normal human bodies or human population?
The artificial ones still have human parts, however, their mind is not. It's as if they're half mind human and half computerized.
Are those individuals that you can make out of, do they have still this individuality, or is there more a hive mind component to it?
Of the artificial ones,
Yes.
they are all numb. They have no emotions as I look at them. Let me walk through this. The ones that are still of knowing, I see one looking back at me. This one has a knowing.
Can he perceive you?
Yes.
Okay. Can you connect with his or her mind?
We have to be careful. There's, from over in the distance, another one stares and looks down. It's as if there are needles in a haystack.
Can they all perceive you, or
these
just?
ones are psychic, or what you would call in the human race, as you have psychics as well. There's a glitch maybe within their computer, maybe.
Okay. I want you to listen.
What should I do?
Please listen to me. I want you, with all the protection needed, to connect with the mind, but still with the distance that we need. And I want you to let them know that we just want to know.
There's something.
One
of them just touched my shoulder.
Ask them what was in the past, what happened in the past that it developed to this outcome. What went wrong that this probable future could happen?
The ones that are in control now.
Can you please elaborate and try to figure out what happened?
I want to connect with one of them that knows. I just need to make sure it's safe. What should I do?
Ask what they perceive in their own past, what happened in the past, that this outcome that they are living now started.
We didn't listen.
Humans didn't listen to who or whom?
We listened to the public. We fell away from beliefs.
Has technology something to do in the past that made that happen, or helped make that happen?
Yes.
What is the biggest danger looking back in time?
The control of electronics. There's going to be more that are going to be produced.
More of what produced?
From the phone. From the phone, it becomes embedded within the hand. You can see everything in your hand.
What will be the next step after the hand?
it moves up into organs.
Mm-hmm.
They see it as being helpful in the society to save people. There's a reason why we are trying to control our own organs. And eventually it goes into the mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you connected with one of them?
I'm right here with one of them.
Mm-hmm. Is he safe?
I'm not sure.
He or she? Okay. Then let him know that we might come back in a later time, if that would be okay, but in an environment that is safe for him and us.
I feel like I taste metal.
Mm-hmm.
I feel numb.
Mm-hmm. I want you now to disconnect. Say thank you. We are thankful for the information. I want you now to disconnect. A question I didn't ask in the session but comes to my mind now. When you were there, did you feel those people still having a soul or not?
Completely numb. Almost to no.
Mm-hmm. So would you refer to they not having a soul anymore, or just a little bit, or anything at all, or just completely enslaved souls, if that is even possible? So I'm just assuming here.
It's almost like they were completely gone, completely lost. Still a little bit, because you could still see some of the human features, but the emotions and the love, it wasn't there. It was like computers,
Mm-hmm.
to a point where it was extremely sad to see that something could possibly happen like this.
Yeah, that would be contrary to a so-called beautiful new earth, that some of others see. But like I said, it's a possible or a probable future. It doesn't mean it's happening. But I think we can learn from that.
Yes, and there was more that I choose not to talk about right now.
You said, we talked about influence, okay? There's different reasons that maybe a person starts to feel like a transgender person feel. So maybe you give us some closer ideas.
Right.
Retrospect.
There could be a few different reasons of why that is. And I talked about that earlier, is that there's a part within them, and the veil is becoming thinner, that they are a remembrance of another species that has this same male-female feeling. I'm not saying that's what that is, but I that's kind of what was shown to me in that. It also could be, another reason is when we have traumas or triggers, we become confused in many ways as well. I'm not saying that's what that is, but that's what was coming through in the session. Influence as mind control. So when someone is weak in many ways because of something through a past event that could have been traumatic, it could be anything that's traumatic, the mind has a way to be influenced and controlled. And that's what happens to when these other type of life forms want the control. They go right into that because they know your weakness, and change the outcome of who you are as an individual.
Is there a mental influence that pushes this gender confusion within a human, either based on the inhabiting soul or because of an external influence?
Both.
Can you please elaborate?
When a new person comes into life, a part of them, if it is not blocked, will remember a part within them from another lifetime as you would say the veil is thinning and people are remembering things from their past more and more, which confuses many people. So it could be a remembrance of a past life as a male when they are female, as the chain has broken and others are remembering more and more. But if they were told this, they would not believe, because to them it is crazy. It is not of a belief system in your society. So that is one part. The other part can be many influences as a child. There could be damage within them, and they become confused. That is another part. And they don't know where they belong. They can be influenced by the ones that raised them as well. And they grow up thinking that they are a different gender because of this. There are many aspects. There can be an influence from the outside world, from different species, trying to control the human race in many ways. They will do everything in their power to influence your race. And this can be one of them as well.
So this would be more like an intruding influence, one that has or
Yes.
comes without consent.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on an example on that? Something that is maybe mostly happening.
With everything. In the planet that you live, there's a lot of chaos going on. It is a control within your planet. They will find ways in many, many different individuals, ones that are not centered because of many triggers or traumas within them. And they will change the mindset as if you are a computer. They have the ability to do this in many ways. Through the society and what's out in the public, through the community, people speaking, and through the many different ways of communication. It is like a whole nother cult or society that tends to come in and control certain ones as well. So that's another aspect that I was seeing in the session. And another thing, I don't know who was talking through at the time, but from what I remember is that there's this alone feeling of not feeling accepted, or someone not feeling accepted of us. So we feel we have to change something about us. And it's also very lonely. So anything we have to, and I always talk about this in our sessions or whenever we have to find that within ourselves, is within us. Why are we feeling like this? What is going on internally with us? Why are we thinking this? There's always a reason for that. Mm-hmm. It always goes back, and it can go to, a past experience, a past life, a past species. There's many aspects to that.
Well, probably it's going to be the same problem for transgender people to even have the courage to actually really dig down and maybe find out the truth about their own feelings, like many other people, whatever, who and what they are, but it's usually always the same thing. Mm-hmm. It boils down to have the courage to really find out about yourself. It doesn't matter who you are, what gender you are,
right?
To what kind of ism you belong. Mm-hmm.
And there's no judgment here. We all have our own choices of what we want to make, and if that makes you happy, that makes you happy. Yeah. But a lot of times with anything, whether it's transgender or anything else outside that box, we have to look down deeper to figure out why. And that's where hypnosis comes in. Mm-hmm. And you can find out so much information through that, especially, if you
are open to that as well.
What is the purpose of the transgender movement introduced to human society?
There are different purposes of why this might be happening. As there's change, but how the change is developed can become good or bad. There is also influence, a deep, deep influence that can get through the minds in many ways, where the individual will become lost within themselves. And when they become lost within themselves, there's a whole new person or soul within them. And the confusion becomes so deep, as if they don't even know who they are anymore. This in turn creates within them many, many different parts. It's almost like they're two people in one.
Okay, to dig a little bit deeper into that question, the purpose of the transgender movement. Is there a purpose that is actually supportive for the development and evolution of planet Earth? Or is there more a purpose that has, let's say, a negative touch to it, if we would call it that way, and not supportive?
It can be negative, and it can become out of control as it becomes confusion within a society. As humans have been trained to have a certain way of thinking. However, there is a male energy and a female energy that always is. A transgender has both, and sometimes they're not so sure exactly which way or where they belong, and one takes over more than the other. There are many different aspects to this. It's not just one thing. You can't go by one reason for this whole movement.
Okay.
There is influence and there is good. And the ones that tend to want to change their bodies are calling, a deep calling within them, as even changing the body will not change the outcome. It is an entrapment within themselves. Will they know this? Sometimes never, as it becomes a cycle for many of them.
Okay, thank you very much. Now to the next question. It's going to be about the children. The question is, how is this going to affect our children's mental well-being to see what's going on around them in regard to transgender, as they have female and male bodies? I repeat that question. How is it going to affect our children's mental well-being?
Children are very intelligent, more intelligent than adults at times. They might see this and not think of different ways, of negative ways. It becomes to them just a normal way of thinking. But the ones that are like this already will feel a connection you will feel very similar. It's almost as though the children need to stay centered more than anyone. Because in this process, even if they feel they are not in a male or female body, they will live their life without having to recreate or reconstruct their body. The body is just a vehicle. When we want to change things within the body, physically, this is a mental thing. It is just a vehicle. And the emotions and the feelings become so strong. And the mind creates another image within their mind of what they should be. In the long run, they still will feel the same. It is a creation within themselves. The body is just a vehicle. The mind is what controls the body.
I understand that. I want to have a little deep probing about the children. Let's say a child is growing up and has a female body and grows up as a girl. And parents or the environment is now starting to try to turn that child around or explain that no, you're not actually necessarily a girl, you can be a boy or you can be neither of it. How is that going to affect a child that is growing up with their siblings or the same children in the same age group in a classroom environment and sees two different point of views? The traditional one with male-female and the roles, and the transgender idea.
It is as if there is a push for society of non-judgment. This will trigger the whole planet within. It's a trigger to push them to understand of non-judgment. They can become very confused within themselves, and that is through mind control.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we need to be careful, as it happens every day. But there has to be change within your world. It is pushing against planet Earth. And there's nothing that we can do, as we know this is the process, but we are not in control of that.
Okay, thank you. My next question would be, why are humans born with a certain biological body? I refer to female and male body, but not able to accept the sex orientation the body is providing. Do you need me to repeat the question?
No. Because in the beginning, before you come into the planet that you're in, there is not that aspect of male or female, as we both have that already. It is the vehicle that you're in. It is the vehicle that you drive. It is your identity. And sometimes people feel it is not their identity. So they choose to think differently as of free will.
Before you come into the planet, again and again, as we accept the notion of reincarnation, we choose the gender, isn't it? There is a choosing of if it's going to be a male or a female body.
Depending on what lessons you want to learn.
Mm-hmm. So if you choose to have a female body and as well choose a certain society, religion, or even where you live, the environment. If you choose that, let's say a female body, and you come in, why are you then still not able to accept your choosing, the choice that you made, and want to change that?
Explain more.
Before you come into the baby, as let's say the soul has both aspects, female and male energies. But you make a choice to go and have a female body for your next life or next life experience. So you have a female body with the female sexual orientation. So you come in, and then when you grow up, you start to want to change that you're not accepting actually your choice that you had. And you want to be either male or either not both of it. So why are they not able to accept the sex orientation the body is providing they were choosing it?
Because sometimes they have not disconnected a past experience within themselves. Something has a hold of them from maybe a past life. That's why this is such a deep subject. It does not just have to be that of another lifetime. It could be another species. It is a remembrance within them. As the human being is a mix of many different species, some tend to remember a different part within themselves, and that becomes alive. It becomes their reality because it's a remembrance within them. And they're so strong that it is almost impossible to go back to who they are here on the planet when they came in as this individual. It is becoming more and more known within them because humans don't want to believe certain things that have been told to them.
Okay, the next question would be, is transgenderism a planned confusion or a natural evolution on the planet?
It is a natural evolution in many ways. However, it is also a learning experience. When you become into a human body, you are born either as a male or female with female parts and male parts. And at that time, you are living a lie within yourself. However, there is no need to change the parts, as many feel that if they don't do this, they can't become who they are. But what they need to see is that it is just a body. It is understandable in many ways. But you have to think about, why would you do this to yourself? Is it about you? Or is it about someone else? Is it about the society? Because if you are not happy with the parts that were given to you, there has to be something of not understanding. As even if you change within your body cosmetically, that aloneness will still be within them because the understanding will still not be there. It is almost as it's pushing them to say, there is no way, there is no reason for having to change your body, because in the outcome, it won't feel any different in many ways. They will still feel a part of them as being disconnected. It is something that they need to go through and understand. It is also a learning process within them.
Very good. Thank you very much. To my last question. If there is such a thing, but who is responsible for the introduction and mass confusion within the transgender community? Is there any responsible entity or group or idea for the introduction and mass confusion within the transgender community? As we, as humans, are a three-dimensional species, it looks like at least, and have a male and a female body, male and female energies expressing physically and mentally on the planet.
Each individual is responsible for their own being. It is a choice they all make on what they want to do with the outcome. But there is influence as well. There is a group within your planet that has created this in the humans on a deeper level, a secret group that stays deep down under. And the human society has ideas of this development, but they can become so discreet, they don't even know they are walking on the planet.
Could you please give us a little more detailed information about that group so we would know? Is that group for or against or neutral to human society?
Against.
What would be their goal of introducing that or manipulating?
Control.
Then I want you to reconnect with all the involved that were there. Is there anything or anybody that wants to say anything about that before we finish?
Yes.
Okay, what would it be?
They say, I think it's the yoni are there. These are very high spiritual beings. They say that there are species out there that have male and female attributes, but they're using that in the human race to change them in a negative way.
So are these the ones we have to be careful?
They say that it is okay. It is very confusing to talk about this because it does exist in other species. However, because of the mind control, they're using it against them more in a negative way, as the humans will one day become an artificial intelligence. It is in process already, as it is going through the planet of transgenders, of the confusion, of changing the body parts. And eventually, it's going to start to change within the organs and the mind as well.
I think as much as we can, because it's important to start to really dig down into what's really going down on this freaking planet here, or everything just goes down the drain if you all feel offended all the time or hurt or whatever it is, then we are not gonna go anywhere with that planet. It's just gonna go down the drain.
Yes, and I think that of all the sessions that we've done, this one was a pretty deep one, and if we don't see these little things happening in our society, things will become what we probably wish not to be. And so
it's highly probable, because we can see it now. Our children don't see it because they grow up with it. Even our teenagers don't see it anymore. For them it's just normal. But for those folks that are 40, 50, 60, they see that there's a lot of things happen in the last couple decades, and that we would not even have dreamt of this being possible. And it's pushing forward extremely fast, exponential, and we have to be really, really careful. The next couple of years are going to be extremely important. It either falls or we make it.
And even talking to families and clients right now, every one of them is feeling this. They are asking what's going on. I've never seen a generation in our society for the worst as it is right now. So I feel that everybody is opening up a little bit. They're trying to see, but it's hard for them because a lot of people are confused on why this is happening. And I think we just really need to accept and other types of information and belief systems in some way as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, folks, I hope you will and can enjoy this session that we did. It's not about enjoying and entertainment, it's about reality, what's going on here, and whatever you want to do with it, it's up to you. Use your own discernment. It's not about a cult or a religion here, it's not about judgment, it's about learning, getting some information, and everyone has to make his own decision what to do with it. Well, thank you for listening and watching, and see you next time.
Thank you.